have to leave like so soon after this class to go to present at a conference at Bowling Green. It just feels scattered. Everything feels scattered today.
Okay, I got practice tomorrow, 4 to 11 tonight.
That's a long
Yeah,
practice. Why?
Show tomorrow for fifth quarter tell it your ways.
Okay. Did you turn yours in here, or anybody who wants to present? I could open it up here.
I'm about to turn it in.
You want to? Okay.
You gotta drive all the way to Bowling Green?
Yeah,
Fuck.
I know it is. And I got to bring 4 kids and try to sleep and then present at 10 a.m.
4 kids?
Yeah. I know. That's what happens, like adult life. I call it babysitting my own kids because they always say, you can't babysit your own kids. But I always say, I got to babysit my own kids. Have you ever heard that? It's like a cut on dads, especially. They're like, babysit your own kids. You can't babysit your own kids. They're your kids. But I'm just responsible for them. And what happened was my 2-year-old flooded our ceiling and they were going to fix it. And it takes 2 days.
I know it'll cost a lot of money.
It's covered by the builder because the toilet flap didn't stop. Like it would be a gallon and stop. Well, it kept running the whole time I was in the shower and I didn't know it. So it ran 20 minutes and I come out and the ceiling, I bet you it's $3,000. They took responsibility, but if it takes 2 days, we got to be out of the house. And I was like, hey, I got a conference at Bowling Green if you want to stay in a hotel. And the kids love hotels because they just tear it up. Like they're 3, 4, and 2 and 6 months.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's a lot. Age is like slow. That's how me and my siblings. So I got 8.
They're 4.25 years apart. So they're all going now. And then the builder wrote back, we had a falling out with the contractor. Now we can't do it tonight. But we've already promised the kids a hotel room and all that shit. So they're coming. They're coming. I'm not going to cut back. Did you turn yours in here? Okay. You want me to open it? How you spell your last name?
Springer?
Yeah. Okay. Am I even in the right one or am I going to be lost? Oh, yeah. Did you want to present today?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I was talking a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever grade my GeoGram? I turned it in twice.
Oh, did it pop back up? If so, I apologize. I am behind. If you redid it, then yes, I will. I got 2 big goals in mind, midterm, which I don't think I gave you an F for, and then final. Only the final is the most important. Like not even midterm goes on record. So you're okay. As long as you do the stuff, you're good to go.
I still need to turn my ego.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. I'll open it for you.
I think it's open.
Like I want all of you to succeed. That's why I do it the way I do it. I still want you to get everything you get in school, but I'm ready when you are.
I gotta go.
It'll prepare you for even the public speaking as much as we hate it. You'll be like, wow, that was easier than I thought it was easy. You'll be impressed. You'll be like, dang, look at that well.
Okay. This is borderline personality disorder. Is it touch screen or what?
You want me to move it for you? It'll probably be, it's on that Dell right there. Are you afraid to get in front of it? Because you can come around this way. It's this one.
This over
the one that's
here
plugged in. Yep. Unless if you gave me a PDF. So there you go. Sorry.
Oh, you live?
We're live from Central.
Okay, y'all. What is not y'all, but personality or borderline personality disorder is a mental health condition marked by instability in relationships, disorder, sense of self, or emotional vulnerability. And additional features of BPD are impulsive actions and fear of abandonment. How long is this supposed to be again?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
You can use a video, right?
No, I didn't use no video.
No.
I should have. I didn't expect to do this today. Key symptoms of BPD are emotional instability, intense and unstable relationships, disordered self-image, impulsive behaviors, self-harm and suicidal behaviors, chronic feelings of emptiness or severe anxiety or anger issues.
It's a trick, man.
Causes of borderline personality disorder are genetic factors, environmental factors, or neurobiological biological factors. I hate presentation.
You can move the computer over there if you want to. Just like bring it to in front of you. You're doing awesome.
I hate this.
You got everyone's full on attention. You're doing
Ain't nobody
good.
in here.
You got
Makes it
5.
less scary though.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
5
this
of
is
us.
last time, I was like, everybody was there.
Okay, let me stop laughing because I'm really scared. How is
You're doing
borderline
awesome.
personality disorder diagnosed? Is diagnosed with clinical assessment or diagnostic critical from DSM.
DSM-5.
I don't like presentation. Okay, treatment for BPD are psychotherapy, which is talk therapy, and medications, but there isn't any specific medication provided for BPD. Yeah, that. Oh, the impact of borderline personality disorder are strained relationships, emotional dysregulation, and then stigma and isolation. Yeah, that one. Right.
You're doing good. That's a tough one to present
I'm
on,
doing
too.
terrible.
No.
Coping strategies from borderline personality disorder would be mindfulness exercises, building emotional regulation skills, strong support system, and self-care activities. Okay, and our key takeaways from the borderline personality disorder is loss effect, a mental health condition that is profoundly impacts emotional relationships and self-image. And also therapy and support, while BPD presents the challenges therapy or whatever, comes along, strong support system and can empower individuals to manage symptoms and lead fulfilling, meaningful lives, and also reducing stigma, which is raising awareness and reducing the stigma surrounding BPD is crucial for fostering a society that supports and understands that affected by the disorder, and education and empathy can also help combat allowing individuals with BPD to feel accepted and validated with their experiences. And these are my references. So,
Okay.
sorry, y'all. I wasn't prepared.
Is someone else doing BPD or am I making that up? Okay. Do you have a video too? Okay. That's fine. You can go. You can go next. Let's see here. Did you turn it in here or okay. Borderline has become a pretty big diagnosis recently. Like there's more and more. Do you want it as a PDF or a PPT? I guess. Okay. Maybe this one will let you click on your link.
I did it through Canva first because I was trying to find pretty slides, but half of the things didn't even show up, so it was kind of weird.
That's okay. You can if you don't like the camera thing either, you can do it from there, whatever, wherever you want. I understand not wanting to go live. It films the board if nothing else.
Hi, I'm Cadence. I also did borderline personality disorder. I chose to do that because it's not talked about, and honestly, I thought BPD meant bipolar disorder, and it doesn't. So, yeah. Borderline personality disorder is a pattern of instability in relationships, emotions, and self-image, as long as impulsive behavior. BPD is a cluster B personality disorder, which means it causes people to act in dramatic, emotional, or unpredictable ways. It affects 1.4% of people in the world. It is more common in women, 75% of confirmed cases. Usually the symptoms show up in late teens or early adulthood. The DSM-5 diagnostic criteria for BPD is fear of abandonment, which means intense attempts to avoid being abandoned, whether it's real or not. Unstable relationships, changing from idolizing others to devaluing them. Unstable self-image, often changing who they are, how they see themselves, or their goals. Impulsivity in at least 2 areas, spending too much, using drugs, binge eating, having sex without being safe, etc. Recurrent suicidal behavior or self-harm, suicide threats, attempts, or physical harm to themselves. Extreme mood instability, intense mood swings, anger, depression, anxiety, lasting a few hours to a few days. Chronic feelings of emptiness, a feeling that something is missing or doesn't matter inside you. Inappropriate or intense anger, problems controlling their rage, frequent outbursts or physical fights. Transient stress-related paranoia or disassociation, not being in touch with reality, especially when you're stressed.
Stress does set it off big time.
Causes and risk factors, biological factors, genetics, between 40 and 60% of people with BPD get it from their family. Brain structure differences, overactive amygdala linked to intense emotions, underactive prefrontal cortex having trouble controlling their urges, and low serotonin levels linked to mood instability. Environmental factors could be childhood trauma. About 70% of people with BPD say they have been neglected, abused, or lived in unstable environments. Invalidating environment, emotions were being pushed down, punished, or overlooked when they were growing up. BPD is diagnosed by the DSM-5. Clinicians use it with physiological tests and structured interviews. Differential diagnosis, a lot of time BPD is mistaken for bipolar disorder, which is something that I've done. Bipolar episodes last days or weeks, while mood swings caused by BPD only last a short time. Another one is PTSD, similar with difficulty controlling emotions, but PTSD is linked to trauma, and it's not necessarily genetic. Depression and anxiety disorders. BPD includes instability in relationships and self-image. And then I put some pictures. It's just the same thing of the DSM criteria. And then I also included the difference between borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder, because those two get mistaken probably the most. Treatments based on DSM-5 guidelines, psychotherapy, primary treatment approach. DBT focuses on regulating emotions and is the most efficient. CBT, it can help with distorted ways of thinking, and MBT, which helps you become more self-aware and regulate your emotions. Medication, although this doesn't necessarily, it only helps with the symptoms, it doesn't make it go away. Antidepressants help people who have mood instability. Mood stabilizers cuts down on mood changes and impulsivity. Antipsychotics helps with anxiety and disassociation. And then challenges living with BPD, there's stigma. There are a lot of bad stereotypes about people with BPD, like they're manipulative or they can't be helped. They have relationship struggles. Having mood swings makes it hard for people to keep up with friendships and romantic relationships, and they have high suicide risk. And about 1 in 10 people with BPD die by suicide. The role of social workers in treating BPD is providing case management and resources, putting people in touch with programs that offer therapy, support groups, housing, and jobs, helping with health insurance and getting financial assistance for care, supporting psychotherapy and emotional regulation using DBT and other types of therapy, using coping skills to help people control their emotions and handle crisis intervention and suicide prevention, and mental health emergencies. Social workers are the first people to help. They do assessments of people's risk of suicide and put them in touch with emergency care. Advocating for clients and reducing stigma, they cut down on discrimination, teaching families, businesses, and the community about BPD. Promoting self-empowerment and learning how to be independent, and building support systems, helping clients keep their relationships with their family and friends, and making sure that they're safe, and putting together support networks or group therapy. With the right care, therapy, and support, recovery is possible. Self-care strategies are using awareness and regulating emotions, getting strong support from people like friends, family, and or therapy, and avoid making decisions impulsively or the spur of the moment. And then I just put some quotes, BPD is a serious diagnosis but can be treatable. Early help and treatment can make things better in the long run, and getting rid of stigma is a key part of getting people to seek help. And then I have a video.
Okay.
I don't know if you want.
So is it like blocked on what's it called? It's probably in presentation mode, so it takes. Let me see. So PowerPoint. Unless if somebody also took away the maybe that's why. Okay. There we go.
A personality is what makes us unique. It's how we think, feel, and behave. A personality disorder is when this deviates strongly from societal expectations and can cause trouble in functioning normally. Borderline personality disorder is a cluster B disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual 5th edition. It is also known as emotionally unstable personality disorder in the ICD classification. It is characterized by strong emotional responses, unstable interpersonal relationships, and a distorted sense of self. There are 9 core signs and symptoms, which are a fear of abandonment, which can be real or perceived abandonment, and people with this disorder will make frantic efforts to avoid abandonment. Unstable relationships with other people. Part of this is because their feelings towards others can change from being close to extreme dislike very quickly. This is linked to splitting, which is a defense mechanism in which people are seen as either entirely good or entirely bad. Next, there is a disturbed sense of identity, or feeling uncertain about themselves, impulsivity or reckless behavior like unsafe sex or substance abuse, recurrent suicidal ideation or self-harm, emotional dysregulation and mood reactivity, which can last from hours to days. Then there are feelings of emptiness, uncontrollable anger, and severe dissociation or stress-related paranoia. To meet the DSM-5 criteria, 5 of these 9 features need to be present across a variety of contexts. It is usually diagnosed in early adulthood, but can be diagnosed in under 18s. It is thought that a combination of genetic, environmental, and social factors result in borderline personality disorder. It's estimated that 1 to 2% of the general population and 20% of the inpatient psychiatry population are affected. Studies have previously noted a higher female to male ratio in clinical settings. However, when applied to the general population, it seems roughly equal. There is up to a 69% heritability, which is the extent to which genes make up a trait, and a correlation in twin studies. But it may be that these results are skewed because twins tend to have similar environments. There is a strong correlation between child abuse, including emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, an unstable family environment, and the development of borderline personality disorder. 70% of patients are thought to have experienced abuse or neglect in their past. Having borderline personality disorder can make completing school and keeping a job difficult. There's also the partaking in risky behaviors like unsafe sex and reckless driving, which can predispose to harm. Overall, 10% of patients will die from suicide. Patients are also likely to have another disorder, such as mood disorders, seen in 80 to 96% of cases, anxiety disorders in 88%, substance abuse in 64%, eating disorders in 53%, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder between 10 and 30%, and bipolar disorder in 15%. No medication is currently approved specifically for borderline personality disorder, although some classes like anticonvulsants, antidepressants, anxiolytics, or antipsychotics are prescribed sometimes. Psychotherapy or talking therapy is the mainstay, and 3 main therapies have been identified in particular. Mentalizing-based therapy is used to help manage the emotional dysregulation and help in feeling understood. Ultimately, this allows patients to make fewer assumptions about the intentions of surrounding people. It is sometimes referred to as thinking about thinking. Dialectical behavior therapy involves using interpersonal skills and mindfulness to achieve emotional regulation and help to reduce conflict in relationships. Transference-focused psychotherapy helps raise the patient's awareness to the interpersonal issues and self-destructive behaviors.
Well, thank you. Any questions? Anybody seen BPD live and in action ever before? Or heard
No
about
one
it?
seems to know this, but
Because it can be sad. Like,
No, but I have seen my mom's boyfriend is schizophrenic. So when he had his outbursts, like we just like, I try not to do too much. But my mom know how to handle it, but I just sit back and watch and observe. But it's very scary.
you're like,
'Cause
what in
you
the
can see
heck?
it in his eyes, like that's not him.
Yeah, like he might be hallucinating.
Like yeah, his pupils start dilating and he get big and small. Like
Yeah. Do you guys always watch these soft underbelly?
yes, I watched them.
Because I think they got
Software Underbelly is about giving people a space to tell their stories, even when these stories challenge what we think we know. Ground News shows us different perspectives in the media, which is why Ground News is a perfect sponsor for my channel.
But like it shows almost everyone with anyone in here seen the Paris Hilton trauma documentary? That's one other one that like it actually does a good job, and it was free on YouTube. I don't know if it still is or whatever, but before I go too far into that, who wanted to go next? Okay.
I want to get out of it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. No, that's the whole point, to see back to, are you right here? Okay. Just
Oh, yeah, that's not mine. Mine, I just turned it in like a couple minutes ago.
so maybe. Oh, look, I do have 2 new genogram and 2 new eco maps, so I can click on it. That's good. We got 15 out of 16 participation. That's like that's about a 92%, isn't it? Anybody good at math? All that extra stuff in math. It can be a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Let's get this one moving. Sorry, I miss all of you on Tuesday. Unless if you want to go to Advocacy Day still. She said there is room on the bus.
oh, it is transportation.
I don't think I want to be up that early.
I just moved the computer back.
What's that?
I just moved the computer right here.
Oh, yeah, you'd rather it be there?
Yeah.
All right, here you go. It's a PowerPoint, too.
Yeah. I should probably do on different things.
You're welcome to pull up a chair, too, if that's easier.
Wait, how you make it full screen?
I bet you that's it. That would be bigger.
presentation mode. That works like that. Okay, so what's up, everybody? My name is Shane, and I'm presenting on anxiety. So the definition of anxiety is described as apprehensive uneasiness or nervousness, usually over an impending or anticipated ill, like a state of being anxious. So anxiety is one of the most common mental health disorders of people of all ages. A lot of people might have anxiety disorder without even knowing. Yeah, it's very prevalent in today's society, and it is treatable with counseling, medication, exercise, etc. Different types of anxiety. So there's generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, separation anxiety disorder, phobias, OCD, and PTSD. And as it shows, there's 6 different ones. So generalized anxiety disorder is basically just generalized anxiety, like within the name. So basic feelings of like feeling anxious, worried, panic, just overall uneasy feelings. Most people have either dealt with this or haven't, like whether being diagnosed or not. And there's also something that could be like passed down between family. So people can be predisposed from this. And some symptoms are like trouble sleeping, fatigue, muscle tenseness, and trouble concentrating. Next one is panic disorder. So basically, when a person has experienced frequent panic attacks over a course of time, so attacks can occur from overwhelming thoughts, uncontrollable thoughts, fear, etc. And then definition, the panic attacks come on suddenly without any known danger and involve intense feelings of fear or feelings of losing control. This condition is more than twice as common among females than males. And then some symptoms are like increased heart rate, shaking, chills, difficulties breathing, etc. So social anxiety disorder is referred to as SAD. So when people or a person just gets nervous around like social settings and everything, it's more common in teenagers than adults, but anyone from any age range can experience it. And some symptoms are overthinking conversations, thinking of a conversation that happened in the past, or avoiding social outings and interactions with people entirely. Separation anxiety disorder is like when people get, nervous or anxious when they're not around maybe their primary caregiver or maybe a friend or something. And this is typically seen in babies and young children, but it can also affect teenagers and adults as well. And some symptoms are outbursts when separated from a person, trouble sleeping, getting sick when not around a person, etc. And OCD and PTSD are so phobias are another common anxiety disorder. Typically, they have either happened in the past or may have currently happened. Phobias are usually something people are afraid of or scared of that aren't necessarily harmful to them. So the definition of phobia is a continuous, irrational, and intense fear of something that poses little or no actual danger. Most people who have a specific phobia have more than one. So an example could be someone could be scared of like spiders and heights. And some symptoms are avoiding a particular thing that induces fear altogether, sweating, increase in heart rate. And then OCD and PTSD, so they're sort of similar but different. OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder, while PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. Examples of OCD could be, fear of germs or having things in a particular order, while PTSD could be triggering events from the past or flashbacks. And then have my video and then sources, but yeah. I don't know if it's gonna play.
We may have to copy paste it.
Yeah.
See, is it a hot link?
Yeah.
Are you presenting today? No, okay. You can next week on Thursday. Let me, click plus control. Is that how you do it? That's it. Do you want to continue? Yes. There we go. Perfect.
I can't believe what my boss just said to me.
Oop, I already broke it.
I have to quit.
All my friends are so happy when they go out. I don't get it. Can't even imagine what they're thinking of me.
If I don't get this internship, I'll never get a job. I don't know what else I can do. I'm stuck.
I hate airports. Driving there, construction, traffic, parking, and then security, everything about it just overwhelms me. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health problems. While everyone experiences stress and anxiety at some point in life, some people become so overwhelmed that they can't manage their day-to-day or minute-to-minute lives. I know, one of these voices is mine. There are several types of anxiety, and they can affect people in different ways. You might have heard of specific phobia, social phobia, panic disorder, or generalized anxiety disorder, or others. Some of these seem like they might be manageable, like a fear of heights. It's not always convenient to avoid tall buildings, but you could do it. Others, like panic disorder or social phobia, might be harder to manage because they cause problems in unpredictable times, like when you're in public. Each anxiety disorder is different, but basically they all have one thing in common. They cause excessive worry that affects thoughts, feelings, and physical symptoms, and that causes problems in a person's life for at least 6 months. For me, I struggled with generalized anxiety disorder. I was worried about everything. Things I couldn't control, like getting stuck in traffic and being late for an appointment, made me really angry. I worried about what other people thought of me. Looking at my schedule each morning was the worst part of my day. It felt impossible to do everything I put on my list. This really caused problems in my relationships. I yelled at people. I know I seemed demanding and rigid. At night, I was exhausted and sad, and I'd cry because I was so upset. Most people with anxiety disorders also experience physical symptoms, like shortness of breath, racing heart, sweating. Some people even get headaches or high blood pressure. Stress and anxiety are very real physical problems. Eventually, people avoid doing anything stressful so they don't have these symptoms. The good news is that anxiety disorders are treatable. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, exposure therapy, and acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, are evidence-based treatments that can treat any type of anxiety disorder. Relaxation techniques, controlled breathing, and meditation have also been shown to be effective in reducing the physical symptoms of anxiety. There are lots of medications that are also helpful, including medications for depression and anxiety known as SSRIs and SNRIs. Social support, stress management, and self-care techniques are also common parts of any treatment plan for an anxiety disorder. I was worried about so many things for so long, but I got help. I worked with a great counselor and took an SSRI. I even started yoga. Now, when I begin to feel stress, I can look at the situation more carefully, slow down my breathing, and take care of any tasks that are reasonable. Treatment can really help people overcome their symptoms of anxiety. I know, I did.
You'll be back! Emu can't help people customize and say.
Have you guys seen those emus all over the interwebs lately? They look like this. They're like
Well, I'll be.
they're like a big yeah. Sorry that it's so small. Shoot.
Anxiety attack or
This is
panic
how good I
attack?
am. Does somebody have an extra pen? Okay. And then who wants to present next? Next week? Next week? Next week? Okay, that's fine.
I can do it.
Okay. Let me get that out. Back to assignments. There you go. Okay, thank you. Anybody else need my mini shrunken sign-in sheet? Okay. Here you go.
I think we got down with it too.
Computers. Are you guys better at computers? Because you're like the generation that had computers.
I don't know that. Something I don't know. It be too much technology. I don't use my MacBook.
The MacBook is different. You're right.
And I use this, but I still learn because it's a lot of stuff. They do a lot of updates.
Okay.
Sorry in advance, I suck at public speaking, but
We all kind of hate it.
I did my presentation on complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It is like a subtype of PTSD that's in the DSM-5. This kind of PTSD isn't actually in the DSM-5, but that book does recognize that there are certain kinds of complex trauma that don't fit into like the one-size-fits-all diagnosis. CPTSD, like I said, is part of regular post-traumatic stress disorder, but as the name suggests, it is more complex than that. Regular post-traumatic stress disorder usually develops following a singular event like getting robbed or something like that, but CPTSD comes from repeated and prolonged trauma. PTSD symptoms typically develop a lot more shortly after the event, as opposed to CPTSD symptoms can take a long time to become apparent. PTSD, though it does have a big impact on your daily life, it has less of an impact on interpersonal relationships and disassociation in particular. But both of them include symptoms of flashbacks, nightmares, hypervigilance, stuff like that. The symptoms of both of them, like I said before, include flashbacks or feeling like the triggering event is happening to you again, insomnia, nightmares, losing interest in activities, frightening thoughts, trouble concentrating. It can manifest in physical pain like headaches, stomach aches. A lot of people develop tachycardia, which is like a high heart rate. Avoidant behaviors, memory issues, irritability, that hypervigilance that I referenced before, which is like kind of being on your P's and Q's, like kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, if that makes sense, startling easily. A lot of these are also symptoms of depression and anxiety, and those two diagnoses very frequently come in like a 3-for-1 package with different types of post-traumatic stress disorder. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder specifically can also cause feelings of worthlessness and extreme shame and guilt, problems with emotional regulation, interpersonal relationships, relationship partners, and all forms of PTSD. Like I said, symptoms of anxiety, depression, and substance use are really prevalent in people with this diagnosis. I wanted to talk about the impact on brain function that PTSD can have. I feel like a lot of people don't know that, like, especially if you're a child while your brain is forming, I'm sure he can second me on this, that like it has a physical impact on like the size of your like hippocampus and your amygdala. Like it can, if you look at like MRIs of people that had consistent trauma when they were kids and people that didn't, there's literal like physical differences in the sizes of their brains and stuff, which I think is kind of interesting. Your prefrontal cortex is the part that helps you think through decisions and observe how you're thinking. It helps you regulate emotional responses. With people with PTSD, it doesn't always manage to do it, or it causes you to like perceive threats that aren't really there. Your hippocampus is like where your memory is and stuff. And after you go through a trauma, your brain tries to like make sense of what happened, but because the trauma is so like overwhelming for your brain, it doesn't always like reference that information correctly, which is why a lot of people with PTSD have issues with memory and concentration. Your amygdala also triggers your alarm system. Those with PTSD tend to have that overactive response. So something harmless can like instantly trigger you. It's like the power concept. It's like the animalistic part of your brain that's just like wired to help you survive. And when it's overactive and it's just constantly firing, that overrides the part of your brain that works to be rational and logical. Different ways to manage it. There's therapy. There's all different kinds of therapy, like other people's presentations said. There's ACT therapy, CBT. A lot of the work that I read says that a therapy called EMDR, which I'll talk about, and dialectical behavioral therapy can be really helpful with people with post-traumatic stress disorder because it helps them find an understanding and not quite make peace with what happens, but like help you work through it enough that you can carry on with your life. Medication, there's not like a medication that is made to like cure post-traumatic stress disorder, but it can alleviate some of the symptoms that come with it, like mostly ones that include depression and anxiety. Those medications can help reduce those emotions, so it's easier to manage the other things that manifest from that. EMDR is a certain type of therapy that was originally designed to benefit combat veterans. It's actually pretty cool. The way that it works is that people do it differently, but it's supposed to like bilaterally stimulate different parts of your brain. Like some people, they do like tapping on different sides of you or like shine lights. And it's supposed to stimulate your brain. So like when you're talking about your trauma, it causes you to like not be as triggered by it, and it can help you like rewire how you like think about it when you bring it up. It's been really helpful with people with complex trauma. Kind of like what I just said. I'm just yapping because I'm anxious. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing good.
So those are my sources, and I have a video as well. You said control click?
That's what it says when you like hover over it sometimes. It might have to be in not presentation mode or.
How do you know
Then you got to leave the presentation.
when it's time to end a relationship?
I'm not good with technology, man.
I know I suck, but I can help to copy paste it if needed to.
I'm just trying to escape. There we go. There we go. Big brain.
Or when to really fight for it to see if there's something there?
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
Hey Psych2Goers, and welcome back to another video. Have you ever heard of CPTSD? You may have heard of PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. We usually associate it with people who have experienced a traumatic event. The condition causes intense anxiety around the traumatic event, which can manifest in intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, or nightmares, among many other signs. However, the lesser-known condition is called complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD. While there are certain aspects of it that are similar to PTSD, it is a separate type of condition. In this video, we'll give you a brief overview of CPTSD, as well as resources to seek help. But before we begin, we would like to mention that this video is created for educational purposes only and is not intended to substitute a professional diagnosis. If you suspect you may have any form of PTSD or any mental health condition, we highly advise you to seek help from a qualified mental health professional. Let's begin. What is the difference between PTSD and CPTSD? The main difference between PTSD and CPTSD is the duration of the traumatic event. PTSD is typically triggered by a specific or a series of events in a short period of time, while CPTSD is caused by a series of traumatic events over a long period of time. The traumatic events can take place over several months to several years. Like all forms of PTSD, CPTSD may lead to other issues, including but not limited to addiction, depression, anxiety, and changes in personality, among many more if left untreated. What causes CPTSD? While CPTSD is still being researched, it's believed that long-term trauma and repeated traumatic events create different effects than what is normally understood as PTSD. Dr. Sonia Bruner from BetterHelp describes CPTSD as an issue involving safety. For example, those who grew up in an abusive household may lack a feeling of safety. This constant fear of physical, emotional, or psychological harm in childhood can cause problems later in life. Living in a war-torn country is also another instance where the basic feeling of safety is shattered. Feeling unsafe, especially for an extended period of time, can cause trust issues and issues with hyperarousal. Each person experiences and handles trauma in different ways, making CPTSD a challenging topic to study. What are the symptoms of CPTSD? Since CPTSD is closely related to PTSD, the symptoms often overlap. Flashbacks and/or nightmares related to the traumatic event are big indicators. Avoidance is another symptom in which you avoid situations that remind you of the event. Hyperarousal is another, where you experience intense anxiety surrounding an event and anything that may remind you of it. People with CPTSD in particular may experience relationship issues, difficulty controlling emotions, negative self-view, and detachment from the trauma, which may manifest in derealization and depersonalization. Other mental health conditions may also develop. Seeking help early on this is highly recommended, as these symptoms may worsen over time. How do I know to get help? According to the Mayo Clinic, if you're having disturbing thoughts or feelings related to a traumatic event for more than a month, you should seek help from a doctor or mental health professional. If these thoughts and feelings are severe, then you should seek help sooner. Acting sooner can help prevent it from worsening. As with any condition, thoughts of suicide should be treated as an emergency by calling your local emergency service number. How is CPTSD diagnosed? Since CPTSD is a relatively newly discovered condition, most people will likely be diagnosed with just PTSD. Typically, the process involves working with a doctor to analyze your behaviors, past events, as well as looking into family history. For CPTSD specifically, they may look at your past relationships and emotional control, as well as analyze the traumatic events you've experienced. What are some treatments available for CPTSD? There are many options for treatment. Forms of therapy such as cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, may help. Medication may also be used alongside CBT. Otherwise, some professionals may use eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR, particularly for treating post-traumatic stress disorder. Did you find this video insightful? Let us know any thoughts.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, there's my sources. And that's
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Any questions or answers? It's always fun. So I do think we've done everybody today that wants to go. Anybody else want to go? You guys go next week instead. So Tuesday is Advocacy Day. They said if you failed to sign up, you still could show up and get a bus ride there. If you want to go, I would recommend doing something advocacy-like. 7 a.m. Sinclair Community College. I hate waking up early. I set 5 alarms already.
That's too early.
It is. They do from Sinclair and Dayton, unfortunately. I know. She did at first say, we'll try to get them, and then they just didn't have funding to get it all the way here. Yeah.
So where at Sinclair are we supposed to go?
She did just send an email out. Do you get those on your phone? Because it gives like paragraphs detailed, which is did that send to you? If not, I can send it to you. And those of you that aren't coming can do the trauma documentary on Tuesday also. It's this one. So I don't know. Has anybody seen this? It's decent and it goes.
really know about her.
How many voices
I
do I
know
have?
of her, but I don't really.
You wonder why she's so messed
That
up.
was your real voice.
This is Paris
I don't know
Hilton.
what she do.
This is Paris Hilton.
She's. Anybody know what she does? If you say she does something, cocaine. I think she's sober now,
I
but
was just saying, like back then, that was.
it's possible.
She an
Yeah.
actor or something like.
So, gosh, let's start with the wiki. Like, does it go right to wiki when you click? She is an American media personality. So kind of like you said, not businesswoman, socialite, known for her reality TV show in 2004. So this is 21 years old. She's known for her Simple Life with Nicole Richie and The World According to Paris. I think they were the kids of Hilton Hotels also. She appeared in OC, Las Vegas.
So she's like
Oh, what? Say it loud.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Like nepotism?
Yeah.
I think so. That would sound right. She would say she earned all this on her own. It's interesting though, because there was some effed up things that happened, and she goes into the tell-all on this. I want to start you on this. I know we got to go soon, but let's just get through there's different chapters, and then you can finish it Tuesday.
No, this is Paris Hilton.
Mainly because
Paris Hilton.
I always think traumas
This
with
is Paris Hilton.
only poor people, or like somebody, but this is like a rich person grew up with all the shit in the world you could ever imagine and has diagnosed PTSD. So it's kind of uncanny, like a curveball for the trauma that you'll see.
Paris Hilton is a new breed of celebrity, famous for being famous.
She is the great-granddaughter of the hotel magnate Conrad Hilton, the model and the gossip column favorite.
Hilton Mania climaxed this week. More than 13 million people watched her show, The Simple Life.
That's hot.
That's hot. That's hot.
Paris Hilton is everywhere. Washing her Bentley while eating a Carl's Jr. burger. America has embraced Paris's brand.
All you hear people talking about the Paris Hilton sex video.
Paris is an irresistible punchline.
Wow, that's really her. Paris, over here. And over here. What'd she do? She totally spoiled and snobby.
It's kind of messed up what her parents did to her, actually. You'll be like, what?
Ditch the old blonde girl going to parties image and now become this big businesswoman. 17 product lines. You're going to start a hotel chain, not a Hilton chain, your one. This is big business.
That's hot. That's hot. Love that.
You're the #1 female DJ in the world, and you get paid $1 million per DJ gig.
The life you have now, I mean, it's like everything you want it to be is your next level.
I'll try to put it into discussions for attendance.
Ashes. Diamond, come here, honey. I love you.
When I first started this film, I honestly don't even recognize that person anymore. Ever since we started shooting this, I've realized
a lot more about myself. I'm nervous, I'm shaking. It's hard to even.
She almost looks like Barbie.
Because my stomach is just like turning. I don't know, it's something that's very personal and not something I like talking about. I feel like the whole world thinks they know me because I've been playing this character for so long.
I've always heard that people hang out at Walmart. Why?
I don't
What
know.
is Walmart?
Oh, it's 22 years old.
It's like they sell wall stuff? What is it?
What is Walmart?
That's not me.
That was an act.
No one really knows who I am. Something happened in my childhood that I've never talked about with anyone. I still have nightmares about it. I wish I could bring like a camera into my dreams and like show you what it's like. It's terrifying. And I relive that every night. I experienced it, and to this day I'm still traumatized. And I think the only way to have these nightmares stop is to do something about it.
Anybody been to LA before?
All right, here we go. I'll just be normal. Sorry, I'm so used to like playing a character that it's like hard for me to like be normal. I always, like when the camera's around, like turn into someone else. We're driving to my grandfather's house. My grandfather doesn't know we're shooting there. Like he has no idea. Like hates cameras. I did not inherit that part from him. Diamond.
Is that a chihuahua?
When I talk, do you want me looking in the camera or just looking off camera?
Great cast. I'm gonna be next to it. Talk to me.
Okay.
We go back to it again and do walk.
What do you mean I'm not on a runway? So cute. Let me put this up. These pictures are so classic. This is my grandfather Baron and his brother Nicky Hilton and my grandmother Marilyn. Yeah. Glued all the crystals on myself. There's me, Nancy Reagan, and my parents. My family has always been very conservative. Being part of this family, it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of weight. Because I feel like I'm carrying on a legacy.
Oh, wow. Look at this.
Well, my great-grandfather and my grandfather created an insane empire of hotels. And growing up, that was a lot to live up to. It was hard to just like totally be myself.
Hi, Star.
I have his nickname Star.
What are you excited about, Star?
Because I was his first baby. My dad always was filming everything. So I just remember always having a camera around. As a little girl, it was just this free spirit. I'd not been through any trauma yet.
Give me a pretty face.
Anybody stayed in a Hilton before? I think
me
they're
a nice
expensive.
Paris.
Maybe $250.
And
Yeah.
I always would do her makeup. I think there was probably too much focus when she was little on how beautiful she was, honestly.
Yeah. And what's your face then? Little poopy face.
Do you think you're gorgeous? You look a little bit like your mom.
Growing up, my mom and her sisters were child actresses and models. My grandmother was a single mom, and my mom was a model ever since she was a baby. There's just so many beautiful photos of her when she's a little girl. My grandmother saw something in me.
Oh my God. Grace Kelly.
Always making me feel that I can be whoever I wanted to be.
Excuse me, are you that famous actress? What's your name again? Bo Dara.
Did you guys do a sign-in sheet for another class? I don't think it's
But my mom didn't want me in the modeling and acting
I
world.
see some of you are in it, but then
I think she just wanted something different for me.
it just looks different.
You cannot take these things because these are mine.
Well, I'm gonna get them scanned.
No, I'm saying these things are mine.
It's a Wednesday class. The 26th was a Wednesday.
So cute. Am I like 11?
Yeah, it's another class.
Like 9. And here's you starting to walk down. When you were, this was your first birthday. And you know how I know that you talked? You would say, Paris, who's the president of the United States? Do you remember what you'd say?
I was 1, didn't even remember.
But you'd say Bushy George.
I look at my mom and dad, they've been together since my mom was 15. My mom was 19 when she had me.
We always loved the city Paris. And we wanted a beautiful, unique name. And we looked at her and we said, this is Paris. Rick is very private. And I don't think he was really comfortable doing an interview and explaining his life story or his family's. The Hilton family, there are 8 children. The first 5, they got millions and millions of dollars. And then the 3 younger ones, they did not.
Here we are, the new staircase location.
So my husband and I, worked.
Hello, honey.
My mom just wanted my sister and I to be like these little princesses. I went to Catholic school for most of my childhood. My mom always taught me to be very proper, private, and to always portray that everything's perfect. My mom just wanted me to be Hilton, and I just wanted to be Paris.
I actually stop it there to keep it like an hour and a half. So when you visualize trauma, that's probably the last person you would think on your mind. I'm guessing. I don't know. When I saw this come out, I was like, trauma documentary for a millionaire? Come on, dude. So that's why I want to just kind of reframe our brain around different traumas for different folks. Like just thinking that it doesn't only happen. When I lived in El Salvador, Nicaragua for a long time, like people that are in poverty, people, even folks that are million and billionaires have the possibility of PTSD diagnosis or trauma. So
Wasn't she like brought to one of those like wilderness schools or something?
that's my understanding of it. I don't want to give it all away, but yes. And there's a big fight of all of those right